Hey YouTubers, welcome back to the channel. This is Everyday Finance and I'm your host Bobby. If this is your first time on the channel, welcome. Thank you so much for taking time out to watch this video. While you're here, if you enjoy this content, be sure to smash that like, subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so that you'll get updates on future content and videos similar to what you'll see in today's video. For today's video, we're going to go in depth with Chapter 7 bankruptcy. If you haven't watched the previous video we did with an introduction to bankruptcy, stop this one right now and go back and watch it. And I'll put the thumbnail for that video up right here. There it is. So stop this video right now and go and watch that video, guys. Now that video is not lengthy or information overload, but it's something that you need to have a baseline with before watching this video. Okay, now that you've watched that video and you're back, thank you guys so much for checking that video out. So what we're going to talk about within Chapter 7 bankruptcy today is that we're going to talk about Chapter 7 bankruptcy in general. We're going to talk about the eligibility that's needed to file Chapter 7 bankruptcy. We're going to talk about the filing process, and we're also going to talk about the differences between Chapter 7 and Chapter 13 bankruptcy, which are the two most common types of bankruptcies within the United States. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So, Chapter 7 bankruptcy. What exactly does it mean when someone said that they filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy? In the previous video, we defined bankruptcy in general, but to go a bit more in depth, let's take a look at Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Now, the Chapter 7 portion of this bankruptcy is just referring to where you can find the law specific to this particular bankruptcy. Chapter 7 bankruptcy is typically referred to as liquidation bankruptcy. And it's called that because it typically discharges or liquidates most of your unsecured debt. Now, unsecured debt just means that the debt is not backed by collateral the same way that secured debt is. Typical unsecured debt refers to credit card bills, medical bills, and auto and personal loans. Chapter 7 is also the quickest and most simple of all bankruptcy chapters. According to the ABI, or the American Bankruptcy Institute, 94.3% of Chapter 7 filings had their debts discharged. Now, don't go and file just yet. There are debts that can't be discharged. Those include child support, alimony, tax liens, can't get away from taxes, and court fees. Notice that I didn't say student loans. Believe it or not, student loan debt can be dismissed during bankruptcy. I know, it was a shocker and surprising to me when I did the research as well. So with that basic background information on Chapter 7 out of the way, let's talk about eligibility. In the bankruptcy introduction video, I mentioned that you have to ask yourself, can I pay my debts within 5 years? Well, the same holds true within becoming eligible for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. If the answer is no, you may be eligible for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. In addition, you'll have to pass what's called a means test. This test will determine if your disposable income is below the threshold of your specific state. Your income and expenses will be analyzed to determine this. So with that eligibility information in mind, what are some of the differences between Chapter 7 and Chapter 13 bankruptcy? Well, there are 3 key differences: time, money, and debt. Let me explain. With Chapter 7 bankruptcy, it typically takes around 4 to 6 months to complete. Chapter 13 can last from 3 to 5 years. In terms of money, according to the ABI, or the American Bankruptcy Institute, The average for Chapter 7, when represented by an attorney, is $2,000 to $2,500. Self-representation is around $900. With Chapter 7, nearly all debt is forgiven or discharged completely. Chapter 13 only discharges a portion of your debt. With this information in mind, it's no wonder that Chapter 7 is the most common and popular bankruptcy choice. So now that you know the basis of Chapter 7, the differences between Chapter 7 and 13, and also the eligibility that you'll need for Chapter 7 bankruptcy, let's talk about the filing process. There are several steps before your debt will be potentially discharged. The first step is, of course, filling out the bankruptcy forms. These forms just ask questions specific to your financial situation. You'll have to list all debt, income, and assets that you have. Following this step, you'll be required to complete credit counseling. During this step, your finances are analyzed to see if there are more suitable options out there for you, such as debt consolidation and settlements. Consider it a last-minute check to be sure that there are no other options available to you outside of bankruptcy. After this, it's time to petition the bankruptcy court to file. This can be a lengthy and expensive process depending on if you're represented by an attorney or if you're representing yourself. Once your case has been filed, you'll have all of your financial documents examined by an assigned trustee. Now, the trustee is just going to look over those financial documents to make sure that everything is true. In addition, be prepared to have your tax returns, your bank statements, and your pay stubs analyzed as well. Now, I know we've gone through a lot of steps for the filing process, but you're near the end now. One of the last steps you'll have to complete is a credit interview with all of your creditors and the assigned trustee. Yeah, cringeworthy, I know. Now, your creditors and your assigned trustee will be asking you questions specific to your finances and their debt. The goal for your creditors here is to not have their debt that you have discharged. Two things to note about this process. First, creditors have 90 days after this interview process to file so that they don't have their debt discharged. The assigned trustee has 30 days after the interview process to determine if you're able to retain any property and also whether you need to be reclassified under Chapter 13 instead of Chapter 7 as well. The next to last step is to complete debtor exit counseling. Now, this is just counseling that you'll have to make sure that you don't come back through the bankruptcy process again. They want to try to give you all the financial tools necessary so that this is the only time that you'll have to file bankruptcy. And in most cases, the very last step is having your debt discharged. Now, one con of going through bankruptcy is that bankruptcy is public record. You heard me right. It's public record. There is no privacy involved with bankruptcy, personal or financial. In addition to this, your credit will be severely affected for 7 to 10 years, and also your ability to get a loan, buy a house, borrow money. Please consult with a financial expert before deciding to file for bankruptcy. Well, guys, I know that was a lot of information on Chapter 7 bankruptcy, but I want it to be as detailed as possible with regards to Chapter 7 in general, with regards to the eligibility criteria, the differences between Chapter 7 and 13, and also the filing process. If this information has been educational or informational for you, your family, your loved ones, your pastor, your bishop, your neighbor, your mailman, your magician, your handyman, or your mechanic, be sure to smash that like, subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so that you'll get updates on other videos that we're bringing here to the channel for you guys. And always remember, guys, there is no goal that is unattainable when you apply everyday finance. I'll see you guys in the next video.